Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today, here we have with us Mr. Gauhar sir. There is one brilliant concept of mathematics in regard of limits. We would love to know from Mr. Gauhar sir so that a layman can understand. Assalamu alaikum Gauhar sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Could you kindly let us know about limit and its role in mathematics?
Sure. My name is Gauhar Nabi. The topic that I am to delineate on today is regarding the limits. But in order to define the concept of limits, we should know about why limits are so important in the field of mathematics. If one has to pursue the course in calculus, calculus is all about rate of change. We define the change in calculus. So integral calculus is there and differential calculus is there. So in order to study these two concepts, in order to study the concept of calculus, in order to understand fully, in order to comprehend fully calculus, one has to understand the concept of limits, because concept of limits is the foundation to calculus. So let us begin what this concept is all about. So we will start from the beginning. So there is Zeno's paradox. If we have to understand, if we have to comprehend the concept of limits fully, then we have to understand the concept of, we have to understand Zeno's paradox. What Zeno's paradox is all about, so that a layman can understand, right? So what Zeno's paradox is all about? It says that Zeno's paradox says that, let us suppose that we have, there's a person A and there's a wall, right? And this person has to cover the half of distance. If this person has to cover the distance from this point to this point, and let us suppose the distance from this wall to this person is 1 unit, is 1 unit. I'm again repeating, it is 1 unit. Now we are restricting this person to cover the distance. We are asking the person to cover the distance, but he has to, or she has to cover this distance half. He has to cover the distance half. I mean to say, after every step, he has to cover the half of the distance. I'm saying to you, if distance is 1 unit, he has to cover in first step. He has to cover half of one. That is 1/2. Then in next step, half of 1/2, that is half of 1/2 of 1/2, that is 1/4. Now half of 1/4. What is half of 1/4? 1/2 of 1/4, that's 1/8, so on and so forth. So now he has to cover the distance. After every each step, he has to cover the half of distance. Now, the concept arises here. What is the concept? What is the concept? So that a layman can understand. The concept is here, will there be any point of time, will there be any point of time whenever this person will strike this wall, whenever the distance from this person to this wall becomes 0? Yes, this is possible. This is possible. This is possible. So how this is possible? Let's understand this concept. Dear students, this was all about the story. Now we have to mathematize this story. So how can we mathematize this story? We will understand it by some sequence. We will understand it by some sequence. So what is the sequence? What are the terms of the sequence? That's half of one. That is one half of 1/2, half of 1/4. How can we represent this mathematically? So let's begin. So we took the sequence as, we are taking the sequence, the first term of the sequence at 1, we will get 1/2. As the person covers the first step, he covers the 1/2 distance there. So now in second step, if half of distance is remained there out of 1 unit, we have to cover the person has to cover the half of 1/2. That is 1/4 in next step. Then in third step, that will be 1/8. So in fourth step, 1/2 of 1/8 is 1/16. So on and so forth after infinity. So these are the terms of sequence. These are the terms of sequence. So now, but there's one thing that we must keep in mind. That is, how many steps are there? How many steps are there? that a person has to follow to touch the wall, to touch the wall. How many n is there, right? So there will be infinite number of steps. 1 by 2, 1 by 4, 1 by 2, 1 by 4, 1 by 8, 1 by 16, 1 by 32, half of 132, that is 1 by 64, up to so on to infinity. So how can we write this? How can we write this mathematically? How can we write this mathematically? This is limit, infinite number of steps. These will be infinite number of steps. So here the concept of limit arises. So what is this now? Limit of the sequence 1 divided by 2n approach to 0. It means that the distance which is from person A to wall, that will become to 0. That will become to 0. Just try to understand this thing. Understand this thing. That will become 0. When it will become 0? Whenever n, infinite number of steps, whenever n number of steps approach to infinity. तो इसका क्या मतलब है? It means that as the n approaches to infinity, infinite number of steps, half of that, right? So the sequence will, the person will touch the wall. The sequence will approach to 0. So what do we mean by this? The sequence will approach to 0. It means that the distance becomes 0. When can we say distance becomes 0? Whenever n approaches to infinity. So, or we can say 1 divided by 2n becomes 0. It will approach to 0. As number of steps, it approaches to infinity. So now, this is the mathematics behind this. So we have mathematized this thing in terms of some symbols, in terms of some numbers. Now we will understand the concept of limits through some graph. We will understand this graphically. So what do we mean by limit graphically? Limit of this sequence 1 by n. Okay. So now this is the graph of this sequence here. This is if x-axis, we represent it by number of steps, and approach to 0, number of steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth up to infinity. And y-axis, if we represent it by sequence, which sequence is this? 1 by n. 1 by n or 1 by y. Okay. So here in domain set we have 1. In sequence, here, whenever n is 1 in domain set, the image of this point will be here, that will be 1 by 2. So it means that at 1 we get 1 by 2. So in the same way, at 4 we get 1 by 16. So what is happening with this graph? What is happening with this graph? As the n increases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as the n increases, the sequence approaches to what? As the n increases, the sequence approaches to what? The sequence decreases, the terms of the sequence decreases, and there will be a point. This is the mathematics. What I'm saying to you, this is the mathematics behind the story, behind the Zeno's paradox. Why limits are necessary, right? So as the n increases to infinity, as the n approaches to infinity, the terms of the sequence approach to 0. So there will be a point. There will be a point of time. At certain point of time whenever n approach to infinity, n will approach to infinity, the whole terms of the sequence, it will approach to 0. You can see it here. The graph, it touches the x-axis. It means that जो वो distance थी उस wall और उस person के बीच में जीरो होने का मतलब, इस जीरो होने का मतलब है जो वो distance थी वो जीरो हो गई. It means at infinity, as n approaches to infinity, the 1 by n sequence approaches to 0. So this is the mathematics behind the limits. How can we and make a layman understand that what limits are all about. Thank you so much. See you in the next session.